Good evening and welcome. I'm Angela Cox. This is the latest from 7 News this Monday evening. It's not over yet as Sydney mops up after a monster storm. Warnings there's more to come. Happening now, southeast Queensland copping it again. Live to our reporter on the cyclone coming our way. Supermarket heroes, wait till you see how these Woolies customers confronted a group of thugs. Live to Melbourne. More trouble for George Calumbaris. His restaurant empire collapses. Gemma Acton is here with the fallout. Is the federal coalition imploding? The ambush the Morrison government didn't see coming. Our man in Canberra has the background. And we're in Hollywood for the surprise Oscar winners who tonight are the toast of the town. Parts of New South Wales drenched by record-breaking downpours are right now cleaning up a trail of destruction left behind by violent conditions. Serena Andaloro is at Collaroy on Sydney's northern beaches. Serena, monster waves are causing havoc there. We've lost Serena there. Let's move on now. Southeast Queensland is bracing for more wild weather tonight with widespread storm activity and a cyclone bringing flooding rain. Isabel Mullen joins us live now from Brisbane. Isabel, which areas are at risk?
Good evening to you, Ange. An emergency flood warning has been issued for Dalby, with residents urged to get to higher areas. I'm not sure if you can see behind me, but there is a large amount of rain falling in the last couple of hours. 100 millimetres of rain fell at Kilcoy, more than 90 millimetres of rain fell southwest of Bundaberg, and 62 millimetres of rain fell at Greenbank. Now, of course, this is not enough to break the drought, but it is welcome relief for farmers. They recorded 2 years' worth of drinking water, which fell in the Leslie Dam in just 48 hours.
3 millimetres short of our entire 2019 rainfall.
I think we're still in that hopeful stage. You know, the ones that have got it, good on them, but it's just the start.
And Isabel, a cyclone off New Caledonia could impact Gold Coast beaches.
That's right, Ange. At Snapper Rocks, high tide rolled in at more than 2 metres this morning at 9 o'clock. High tide could reach up to 4 metres later in the week. All beaches from the Gold Coast north to the Sunshine Coast have been closed. Shark nets and drum lines have also been removed. Local councils are preparing for large-scale erosion as that cyclone makes its way towards the Queensland coast. Ange?
OK, thanks so much, Isabel. In the west, the cyclone-ravaged Pilbara could take weeks to clean up, leaving schools and billion-dollar mining operations in limbo. Karratha Council is pleading with the state and federal governments for help. The damage there, the worst in 3 decades. Brave Woolworths customers have taken on a gang of thugs who stormed a store in Melbourne's southeast last night armed with knives. For more, we're joined by Georgia Comensoli. Georgia, take us through what happened.
Well, Ange, just after 8 last night, this group of 6 stormed the Woolworths store in Lyndhurst, which is in Melbourne's southeast. They were really being quite brazen. They filled up a trolley full of store items. They were attacking staff members, and on their way out, staff and other customers were telling them to pay for the items, and at one point, one of the thugs pushed over a female staff member. At this point, 3 customers took it upon themselves to confront the group. They followed them into the car park and told them that what they were doing was simply wrong, but the thugs weren't having anything about it. They had a bit of an argument before they left the car park. Ange?
OK, let's hear from some of those witnesses now.
And they were just waving this big knife, like kitchen knife around.
No, it was punching and kicking and pushing and slamming. Pretty full on, like hardcore, trying to hurt each other stuff. They had a car waiting just over there where we're standing, and they had the boot open and everything. And
Georgia, what happened after the thugs were confronted?
Well, Ange, it seems it wasn't just enough to leave with the goodies that they'd had in the back of their car. They felt angered by the fact that other customers had confronted them, and they returned to the Woolworths store 20 minutes later, this time brandishing knives. When they came inside, it's at this point that staff decided to lock down the Woolworths and hide some of the other customers in the store in one of the back storerooms to keep them safe. But at this point, other customers, we understand, confronted the group and told them that what they were doing was wrong and that they needed to leave. But those pictures cashiers are extremely confronting, some of them brandishing bats and knives, trying to attack and threaten these staff members. And we understand that they are still on the run tonight and police have made no arrests. Ange?
Very scary. OK, thanks so much, Georgia. Rebel Nationals have heaped more embarrassment on the Morrison government, defying their coalition partner in Parliament today. The result elevated one of the government's breakaway MPs. Let's bring in political correspondent Tim Lester in Canberra. Tim, this was an ambush the government didn't see coming.
No, they did not, Ange. In fact, many would have felt a sinking feeling when they heard Labor nominate a Nationals MP for the job of Deputy Speaker and a $40,000 a year pay rise. Just 24 hours ago, Queensland's Lou O'Brien had told the Prime Minister he was no longer going to sit in the Nationals party room, but rather on Parliament's crossbench, though he would continue typically to vote with the government on legislation. Now, O'Brien went on to win the Deputy Speaker's job over the government's nominee, mainly because Barnaby Joyce supporters from last week's bitter leadership vote backed the rebel rather than the government's candidate. It is deeply embarrassing for any government to lose a vote in the House, but this one especially signals that those rebel Nationals could move against the government on topics that are more serious. Here was the Prime Minister's response.
With two government members to choose from, I'm pleased to see that government members receive the full confidence of all members of the House, Mr Speaker.
No amount of marketing or spin can hide the humiliation for the government from that ballot.
Interesting times. And Tim, all of this unfolded as the Parliament was playing host to a key world leader.
Ange, President Widodo has been here for annual leaders' talks, but also became only the second Indonesian leader to address federal parliament. President Yudhoyono did that also 10 years ago. The extra pomp this time is partly because the two countries are just about to put into effect a trade deal. Fast becoming an economic giant, Indonesia is still low on the ladder of our trade partners, 13th in fact. Both leaders, particularly Prime Minister Morrison today, playing up the fact that they believe that will now change markedly. Ange?
OK, thanks so much, Tim.
Thanks, Ange.
Hundreds of mourners have gathered to farewell 3 of the 4 children who died in a horror Sydney crash. Anthony, Angelina and Sienna Abdallah, along with their cousin, were struck by an allegedly drunk driver 10 days ago. There was praise for the children's mother, who was told her forgiveness had stunned the world. Melbourne's Hosier Lane, famous for its street art and graffiti, has been defaced by masked vandals. Around 6 people armed with fire extinguishers filled with paint sprayed over the colourful walls. While the street art is legal, the council says they view this as vandalism and will be pursuing charges against those responsible. And David Warner has tonight taken out the top award at cricket's Gala Awards. By winning the Allan Border Medal, it completes a remarkable return for Australia's opening batsman after serving a 12-month suspension for ball tampering. A bathroom break meant Alyssa Healy was AWOL as the Belinda Clark Award was announced. Elise Perry claimed the title for the 3rd time.
Standing here today, I'm just really proud to have that opportunity again. I'm extremely grateful for that, and as I said, I can't thank my teammates and Cricket Australia again for giving me that opportunity. My mum and dad, I know I've let you guys down in the past, but you guys always stick by my side, and I really appreciate that. And my brother, my wife.
It's been a really special 12 months, one that I think we'll all savour for a long time to come.
The restaurant empire of George Calombaris has gone into administration just months after his business was rocked by a staff underpayment scandal. For more, I'm joined by Network Finance editor Gemma Acton. Gemma, the celebrity chef spent this afternoon in crisis meetings. Is this the worst possible outcome?
Well, Ange, we're not going to know the full outcome for the next few weeks because going into administration is really the start of the process rather than the end. So we know that the 12 main venues in Melbourne have already ceased trading, but that Yo Chi, the brand, will keep going for the time being. Now, for Mr Calombaris himself, it's certainly a terrible outcome for him. He took to Instagram today to talk about his regret at everything that had come to pass, and we know that he put his family home on the market today for sale, having just sold his holiday home a few weeks ago. But if you're to take the pulse of the press and the public reaction to the demise of his empire over the last couple of months, and certainly today, really limited sympathy you feel for Mr Kalambaris, because the wage underpayment scandal is really stuck in people's heads, and much more sympathy reserved for his staff.
Yes, I know he said he was gutted and personally devastated, but what is the fate of his 500 workers?
Right, so those who are attached to Yochi are fine for the time being because that's still continuing to operate, but there are about 400 others whose fate is much less clear. Their fate is very much tied to that of the venues where they're working, and as we mentioned, we don't know what's going to happen to them. Clearly the administrators will be looking to sell these off and raise some cash where possible, but we just don't know yet what's actually going to happen there. We do know that they have been paid wages and super up until now. It's more about their future employment that's in question.
So has the business empire collapsed just because of this underpayment scandal?
Yeah, and look, I spend a lot of my time, unfortunately, talking to restaurant owners, bar owners, cafe owners who are having a really difficult time running viable businesses. Usual suspects, weak consumer spending, and the ongoing trend towards home delivery options, in-home entertainment at the expense of going out. So certainly it's a very difficult time regardless for the hospitality industry in Australia. Now, all of that said, this wage underpayment scandal left such a bad taste in people's mouths, just the difference between the seemingly glamorous TV celebrity chef life and the image of workers, putting in gruelling hours for illegal pay levels just sat so badly with people. And although they tried to relaunch and rebrand several of these restaurants in the last few months, and also we know that Mr Kalambaris paid a fine, backpaid the workers and apologised, it was never enough to recover his reputation, and that of his restaurants was still in tatters.
Yeah, very much so. Okay, thanks so much, Gemma. Now, we've solved those technical difficulties now, so let's go back to Serena and Deloro on Sydney's northern beaches. Serena, monster waves are causing havoc there.
And as you can see behind me, the beach has all but disappeared. Extreme tides have swallowed up more than 25 metres of sand here, and any more wild weather could put some of these waterfront mansions here in Collaroy at risk. But even inland suburbs are inundated. The SES conducting more than 200 rescues across Sydney suburbs. While the rain is very welcome, the bad news is insurance companies have already put the price tag of all of this at $45 million. The good news, Warragamba Dam is at 60% at the moment. I'm told it could reach 70% by the end of all this. And the RFS this evening has put out a note saying more than 30 fires have been put out because of all this rain. It certainly was needed, wasn't it, Ange?
Certainly, that is some good news, but we have also seen flooding in those areas already crippled by bushfires.
We unfortunately have, and Lake Conjola has gone from crisis to crisis just 6 weeks after losing 90 homes to bushfires. Evacuation orders have been issued for flooding. The streets are swamped. Residents there just can't believe their luck.
Well, let's hear from some of those frustrated residents now.
One extreme to the other, isn't it? Eh? I've got no words for it.
Waist deep water through your house. It's absolutely ridiculous.
And Serena, disaster relief has proved dangerous for some.
It sure has, Ange. One contractor has been critically injured when he was crushed by a falling branch, and the extreme weather is not over. We have much more rain to come.
Okay, thank you so much, Serena. It's shaping up to be a long night for the surprise winner at this year's Academy Awards. Bong Joon-ho, the man behind the film Parasite, is planning to celebrate until dawn. US correspondent Amelia Brace joins us from Hollywood, where the parties are still going strong. Amelia, the makers of the South Korean movie are the toast of the town.
Yeah, they are, Ange, and rightfully so. Not only did the Korean thriller take home 4 Academy Awards, it's also the first foreign film to be named Best Picture. And it was actually really wonderful to watch. Each time that they won an award, the entire cast and crew would stand up, and you can tell that they were just delighted to be honoured on a stage such as this. And we're so used to the Hollywood elite, people who are used to winning awards like this year after year. So it was really humbling to see. Moving on to the other big awards, no surprise that Joaquin Phoenix took home Best Actor for his role in Joker, a really gritty role, and it was quite a gritty acceptance speech. He took on a lot of issues head on, including climate change. He thanked Hollywood for taking him back, saying that he'd been poorly behaved in the past, but that he appreciated this second chance. Best Actress went to Bridget Jones herself. Renee Zellweger also kind of back in Hollywood. It's been more than a decade since she did this Hollywood award season, and she sweeped the lot for her role in Judy. Laura Dern took home Best Supporting Actress, and that means that our very own Margot Robbie missed out. But Brad Pitt was kind of also the toast of the town. You wouldn't believe it, but he actually took home his first solo Oscar tonight for his role in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and it was actually a really humbling acceptance speech where he spoke about growing up dreaming of this, and also paid tribute to his children. So it was quite beautiful.
So a very big night there. Where did the stars kick on after the awards?
Well, we most importantly were at Elton John's viewing party, which turned into his after party, and it was more of a celebration. Every year it's a fundraiser raising millions of dollars for AIDS research, but tonight it was a little bit more special, and that was because he took home an Oscar himself for Best Original Song, and we were actually in there when the announcement was made, and there was a huge roar, so that was very much a celebration tonight. In fact, they actually ran out of champagne at one point, so that gives you an idea of exactly what's happening just behind us. The Governor's Ball, of course, is the official after party. That's where all the attendees move just after the awards themselves. That's where you can get your Oscar engraved. And then the winners are all invited to Vanity Fair. But I can tell you there are plenty of people just walking the streets here. We have seen 2 people walk past us with Oscars in their hands. So it's very much a party night here in Hollywood.
Well, indeed. Well, thanks so much, Amelia. We'll let you get back to Elton John's place. Still to come, a close call for a Qantas plane in the UK as severe storms slam Europe live to London. The coronavirus cruise ship worsens, more Australians infected. Details next. Twice as old as the pyramids of Giza, the major discovery in the Australian outback. And royal pressure, why Harry and Meghan are coming under fire for a paid public appearance. That's all coming up next on the latest from 7 News.
One team walked out of the competition. Will they be back?
How are we going to beat Corinne's house?
As Manu's house crumbles, 2 Aussie sisters are taking it to the next level.
We want to win for our house, for our family.
This is the most confident I've been.
Are you looking at the next great champions of MKR?
Wow.
Would you like to join my team?
Oh my God.
New My Kitchen Rules, tomorrow 7:30 on 7.
Low prices and free delivery on millions of items. Easy as amazon.com.au.
The Subaru 2019 plate clearance is on right now. Drive away in the Impreza 2.0i limited edition from only $28,290 with eyesight, leather accented seats and symmetrical all-wheel drive as standard, but only while stocks last.
Shut up and take my money.
Tell me where the freak's at.
Show your Auto Club card at Snooze and now save up to 40% off regular prices, including mattresses, beds and bedding. Plus, save an extra 5% off already discounted products. Hurry, this member event is now on.
What a little snooze can do. New Falsies Lash Lift Mascara from Maybelline, New York. The look of a lash lift without the salon hassle. Double curve lifting brush for long, lifted volume. New Falsies Lash Lift Mascara, only from Maybelline, New York.
Glorious beef eye fillets are now just $19.99 a kilo at Aldi. It's high-end steak without the high-end price. Oh, how dare you, you animals. Aldi, good, different.
Aussie kids, are we big kids? Aussie kids, are we big kids? Aussie kids, are we big kids?
A Qantas plane has made an emergency landing in the UK after a suspected lightning strike as a deadly storm batters the region. 7 News Europe Bureau Chief Hugh Whitfield joins me now from London. Hugh, how much damage has Storm Ciara caused so far?
Angela, almost every part of the UK has been impacted by this storm. 500,000 homes without power at some stage over the weekend. Tens of thousands of families still without electricity right now. And this storm has turned deadly as well. A man killed when a tree fell on his car in rural Hampshire. There's been flooding, particularly in the north of England and the Scottish borders. The city of York is flooded, the River Ouse breaking its banks. And in the town of Hoyk on the Scottish border, part of a cafe fell into a swollen river. A building collapsed there. Big impacts for travel, with trees falling on roads and rail lines, and for air travel as well. That QF10 flight, which is the direct London to Perth flight, was forced to turn back shortly after takeoff from Heathrow after suffering tail strike. Now, most of those passengers have been put onto other flights to make their journey home to Australia, but the plane has been checked by engineers. They say there is no real damage and the plane will be able to take off as QF10 in the next 24 hours. But the widespread impact of this storm has been felt right across the UK and now well into Europe as well.
These pictures we're looking at are just remarkable. Hugh, it's now hitting parts of Europe?
Yeah, it is. So we're seeing it drift to the east. Flights have been impacted right across the continent in the last 24 hours, particularly out of Amsterdam and Frankfurt. The storm has been renamed as Storm Sabine in Germany. And what we're seeing come after this storm front come through, the continuation of very high winds and freezing cold temperatures. There are now warnings of up to 20 centimetres of snow in parts of the UK, particularly in the north of England and Scotland as well. The impact is being felt on the sporting field too, with football games in the Netherlands cancelled. We saw the cancellation of Premier League matches, including the match between Manchester City and West Ham United here in the UK. Super League matches impacted as well, with games right across Europe cancelled. So we haven't felt the end of Storm Ciara. Winter has arrived pretty late here in Europe, but it has arrived with some real force, Ange.
Sure has by the looks. OK, thanks so much, Hugh. The coronavirus crisis on board a cruise ship on the Japanese coast has worsened. 66 more passengers on the Diamond Princess have been diagnosed with the virus, taking the total to 136. 223 Australians are on board. 11 of them are infected. All passengers are being forced to remain in their cabins. They are a week into a 14-day quarantine. And late today, the RAAF plane delivered specialised diagnostic equipment to Christmas Island. It will allow medical staff to test for the coronavirus on the island rather than having to send samples to New South Wales. That will cut the wait for results from 2 days to just 2 hours, removing unnecessary time in isolation for those displaying symptoms. And Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are under fire again, this time over a paid public appearance. The couple reportedly pocketed over $500,000 to deliver a keynote speech at a Miami financial summit run by JP Morgan. It appears to be part of Harry and Meghan's plan to become financially independent of the royal family, but critics say it's tacky. Scientists have devised a way of using mud wasp nests to accurately date ancient Aboriginal rock art in the Kimberley. Joining me to explain is Dr. David Fink from the Australian Nuclear Science and Technology Organisation. Thanks for joining us, David. So firstly, the big question is, how old is this rock art?
Well, the rock art that we've dated with a special technique called radiocarbon dating, and the special style is between 10,500, 11,000 years, up to 13,000 years. And that's typically twice the age of the pyramids in Egypt. So it's pretty old.
Pretty old indeed.
Yeah.
So this technique, it's quite a breakthrough. Talk me through how it works.
Well, at ANSTOs, we've developed a very sensitive technique to, based on nuclear technologies, to actually count individual radiocarbon atoms one by one. And these radiocarbon atoms are quite rare in the environment. They're naturally occurring. They're not man-made, but they are radioactive. So they're like little atomic clocks in the material that we date. And if we can count those atoms, we can find out how old they are.
Okay, keeping this nice and simple for me, because I do find this fascinating. Mud wasp nests.
Okay.
How do you use them? Why are they so special?
Well, the big breakthrough was that we weren't able to initially date the actual paintings themselves, but that's where the wasps come into it. These wasps collect mud in the river flats, and in that mud are little tiny grains of charcoal, invisible to the naked eye, and they plant these mud on the rock walls, make their nests. Some of the mud is underneath the paintings, some of the mud's on top of it. So when we sample and date the two pairs, we are actually sandwiching the date of the actual rock art.
Just incredible.
Yeah.
This is really important heritage for all of us, but you're working very closely with the local Indigenous population.
Yeah. So all our work is in very strong collaborations with the Bangaranga communities up in the Kimberleys. They're the traditional owners on the land upon which these rock art shelters are found. And when we're in the field, we work with them continuously. We ask for their approval when we sample, and they are discussing the rock art with us. And in addition, the whole group that works there is from researchers from Melbourne University, University of Western Australia, and from even ANSTO. We have a radiocarbon specialist, Dr. Vlad Levchenko, and we work in a large team, and it's always a team effort.
It must be very important for the Indigenous community to understand the history and just how far back this art dates.
They're very much pleased with our kind of collaboration with them. They're very eager to learn from it. And what the aim is to look at the whole landscape picture of the Kimberleys, because not only is it to date the rock art, it's also a topic to find out what was the landscape like 60, 50,000 years ago when Aboriginals entered Australia for the first time. Was it the same? Was it drier? So our studies is not only rock art, it's the whole environmental situation of the Kimberleys.
And to think these tiny little insects hold the answer to that, it's just incredible. Is there any way that you'll be able to use this technique across Australia and the world?
Well, the big difference between Aboriginal rock art in Australia compared to European paintings that have been dated quite reliably is that in Europe the rock art or the art is in caves, and that environment is very static and the material is preserved and datable. But in Australia the Aboriginal rock art is on rock shelters. It's exposed to the elements, it weathers, and the actual painting cannot be dated, and that's where the mud wasps come into it. They're our signal for the rock art, and that would mean that other places where rock art is found in Australia will be able to use the same technique.
Just incredible. I love this story. Thank you so much for coming and
pleasure.
joining us.
Thank you very much. Good.
Still to come, an uncharted destination. Where is this NASA rocket heading? The history-making embrace, the story behind tonight's final frame. That's next on the latest from 7 News.
Hidden in their beauty, nature's secret code, proving it's yours. The discovery now helping protect your family jewels. 7 News, tomorrow.
Some say at this age, life turns grey. Ah, la vie en rosy.
Age Perfect Golden Age Day Cream by L'Oreal Paris. With peony polyphenols in a rosy-coloured cream. It stimulates skin and reactivates a natural rosy glow.
Glowing from the inside out. Get your glow back. Some say I should act my age. I am. I'm age perfect.
Golden Age Day Cream by L'Oreal Paris.
Because we're worth it.
It's F-Sport time at Lexus. Receive a complimentary sports upgrade on selected Lexus models. Feel the thrill of upgraded suspension, handling, and race-inspired features. Valued from $7,367. Make the most of F-Sport time. Visit your Lexus dealer today.
Before you choose the bench tops and basins and the doors and the floors, think about the frame. House frames made with the inner strength of true core steel won't shrink, twist or warp over time. To find builders using true core steel, visit truecore.com.au.
And we're back with the legends.
How about awesome Aussie flavours? Vegemite and cheese.
Legendary.
Right. Oh, what about the classic? Sausage sanger.
With onion.
Yes.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Meat pie.
Yeah.
With sauce.
Shapes meat pie. You legend.
With flavour you can see.
A new Aussie legend is born.
New shapes, meat pie.
New shapes, Aussie legends.
Time to party! It's Amart Furniture's 50th birthday sale. And to celebrate, we have up to 50% off a huge range. Hurry, these offers must end tomorrow. New offers every week. I got it at Amart.
How's that for serenity?
Can care be better at home?
Oh, it's sanctuary. Your home's a bit of a sanctuary. Yeah, for me, rehab at home, it gave me a huge amount of flexibility to be able to do the things I wanted to do. It allowed me to unstress and be in the moment in your house in your own comfort zone, which was really good for me and my state of mind.
Search Medibank at Home to see how we're creating better choices for our members.
I'm here.
Your action and sci-fi fix are on 7+.
Take a look.
You've been waiting for this.
A very, very long time. Discover something new. Streaming for free on 7+.
Welcome back. Sydney's wild weather forced the city's wildlife to take shelter. Just have a look at these rainbow lorikeets trying to stay out of the wild and windy conditions. Now checking tomorrow's temperatures around the country. Showers and 30 expected in Brisbane, Adelaide 28 and mostly sunny. A possible storm and 33 for Darwin. And in other parts of the country, Townsville 33 with a shower or two, 33 and partly cloudy in Ballarat and a sunny 34 for Mildura. Right now, the Solar Orbiter is rocketing through space after a successful takeoff. It's a combined mission between NASA and the European Space Agency. The aim is to capture the first images of the sun's elusive poles. It will help scientists learn more about the sun and its influence on the solar system. But they won't get their first good look at the poles until 2025. We're taking you back to the Academy Awards for our final frame tonight. Look at this moment shared between Bong Joon-ho and Taika Waititi embracing backstage after their historic wins. Bong Joon-ho is now the first Korean filmmaker to take out the Best Director category for Parasite. Waititi became the first Maori to win an Oscar for his adapted screenplay of Jojo Rabbit. In his speech, he dedicated the award to the Indigenous kids all over the world who want to do art and dance and write stories. And that is why it is tonight's final frame. Thank you for your company this evening. You can re-watch all of our shows on 7+ and catch the latest on Facebook Watch every weekday afternoon. Sunrise will be back first thing tomorrow morning from 5:30. From all of the team here at 7 News, that is the latest. I'm Angela Cox. Good night.